I've been hearing from some of you that you are interested in learning how to break free of the 9 to 5 trap. And I know that for a lot of us, that's the reality. That's our life, is working for someone and having to structure our whole life around that schedule. We get trapped because of debt. I've talked about it before: financial debt, emotional, physical debt. And once we're trapped in there, it can start to seem like there's no way out. And people come and say, I wish my life could be simpler. I wish that I could spend more time outside, but I've got a lot of bills to pay, and it doesn't feel like there's a way out. It doesn't feel like there's an escape. But there is an escape. It takes a fair amount of creativity. It takes a lot of courage, but it can be done. Today I'm hoping to share with you a number of ideas, some different tactics for helping to slip yourself out of those chains and to start living a life that is more in line with your integrity and your heart. First of all, we have to start to break free of the illusion of security that a 9 to 5 job gives us. We've been told over and over, it makes sense, right? We want a secure job and that regular paycheck, and that's what is going to make life happy, exciting, I'm not quite sure. Secure, that's what we're told. And somehow we buy into the security, and we let security trump happiness, sense of adventure, sense of fulfillment. So, does a 9 to 5 really give us security? My grandfather he's this amazing genius man, a nuclear physicist, PhD, and he was working with a company down here, and he was telling me, this is a couple of years ago, about how he was having to try to counsel and help a lot of the PhDs because the company had taken a downturn and they lost their jobs, and they were so specialized that they didn't have anywhere to go. They didn't know what to do. PhD, that should give us security, right? That's the illusion. These 9 to 5 jobs, they seem secure, but people are being laid off or losing their jobs every day. Is it really as secure as we think? Or is there a higher security that can be found in learning to rely on our own ingenuity, our own creativity, our own skill set? Another thing that can help us to start to motivate ourselves is to realize that, for all we know, we just have this one life. This one life. What are we going to do with it? Is it really going to be, are we really going to be happy looking back at our life and saying, I got a good, sensible job, and I worked for, until retirement, and then I did some traveling and stuff when I was kind of too old to enjoy the traveling, but hey, and is that really the story we want to write in our life? Or could we write something that is really going to be epic? That is really going to inspire the people around us? That is going to fulfill us, and through fulfilling us, that's going to reach out so that everybody around us feels more fulfilled. So, let's look at the trap a little bit. That trap consists usually of what we think is a need for money. We've got our debt list, right? we've got our bills, we've got to buy food. And so we have this need for money, and the way our culture has set it up, we need to trade our time for money. Most of us have been lured into the belief that we need to trade that time for money in a way that's just on the edge, so that we're getting paid maybe, 10, 15, $20 an hour, and we're just making enough to pay the bills and to maybe do a couple nice things, but we're always kind of trying to play catch up. And Rebecca and I were right there. I mean, for a while we were living the American dream. We had our house in the country. We were paying a lot of money to Bank of America for our mortgage and to credit card companies for debt to credit card, because we had gotten ourselves in way over our head with medical bills and house repairs. That money, it feels like it's a trap, but it's not. And there's two ways to get out of that. The first one is to simplify our lives. That's the route that Rebecca and I chose. And we did it pretty radically. We went and lived in a yurt for a year with no electricity or running water. And in that radical simplification allowed us to see what was really important for us. But that's what simplification is all about, is figuring out what really brings you joy and happiness. To simplify, we need to start looking at all the things in our life that are requiring money. So a car is a great example. A car seems like something that we need, right? But it eats up a lot of money in insurance, in repairs, in gas, in oil change, if you're not using an electric car. And so, do we really need a car? Or could we do with running or biking to work, using one of the services that are now available for getting rides places, car sharing with somebody? There's other options and alternatives, especially if you're a household that owns multiple cars. Do you really need multiple cars? I know that there's times in my life with Rebecca when having two cars would make things easier, but it's never necessary. And in fact, finding ways to creatively move our life around just having one vehicle made a lot more sense for us. If we get radical and we ask this about all the things in our life that require money, we'll discover that we start to come up with creative solutions, because you are super intelligent, you're super creative. You can find solutions for your life that are going to not only make more sense, but probably make your life more adventurous, more epic, more exciting, more fulfilling. The house. Do you need a house? Rebecca and I, we owned a house, and it was eating us alive. We loved it. But by selling the house, moving into the yurt, and now we rent a nice tiny house from a great friend of ours, and that now, because she's sharing her land with us, we have all this land that we never would have been able to afford before. But we have this paradise that we can go out and hike on. It's not because we saved up a whole bunch of money and bought a whole bunch of land. It's because we started to think creatively about our situation. Food. Food is a big one. Most of us go to the grocery and get most of our food from the grocery. But are there less expensive ways to get your food, like belonging to a CSA, Community Supported Agriculture farm? Or foraging, hunting, gardening. There's lots of other ways to bring food into your life that don't involve going to the grocery. As I said, just look across the board at your life, different areas, any place you spend money, and see, does this thing really bring me the happiness and joy that I think it does? And secondly, is there a creative workaround or solution where I could get the same benefits or more benefits by doing things a little bit differently? Okay, so you've simplified your life. And once you do that, that is going to reduce your cost of living a lot. And already then, you're not having to trade as much of your time for money in order to make your life function. But still, we're stuck in that 9-to-5 job. And we're going to work every day, and we're caught up in that structure. This is where we have to start to see that with work, there are other ways. Maybe it's within the existing framework of your life. So, you go to work, 9 to 5. Could you go to your employer and ask them, express to them that you're trying to simplify your life and you'd like to work part-time? Or you want to try working 4 days a week, put on a couple more hours each day, and then have a 3-day vacation. Secondly, if that's not viable, once you've simplified, are you at a point where you could make a radical shift in your life and really change things up? Maybe quit that 9-to-5 job and find something else. This could be a skill set that you have. And you've been making bows and you want to go full time with that. This could be a personal skill. So maybe you are really good at helping people to get in shape and you want to try your hand as a personal trainer. Maybe you're going to start counseling people, or you're going to get yoga training and become a yoga teacher. Maybe there's a simpler job. It doesn't involve sitting at a desk, but I recently heard about someone who quit their big high-end job and was scooping ice cream for people on a beach in some tropical place. Something besides that job. And there are so many thousands and thousands of options out there. Not only pre-existing ones, but ones that you create yourself. You start a school. You become a mentor to someone. You start doing your art and selling it on Etsy.com. So many options. Get creative. Explore. Again, you have an immense amount of creativity. If you just stop, break out of the daily grind of life, and give some real thought to this. As you begin to explore these thoughts, it's utterly important to remember that it is okay to fail. We have to give ourselves that permission, because if we set ourselves up where we're going to put everything, all our eggs into this one basket, so to speak. And I'm not talking about our eggs as far as like a financial commitment or a time commitment. I'm talking about our emotional eggs, right? So you put your whole heart into this in a way that this must happen. We're kind of setting ourselves up for disappointment. Because as we go off and we explore this, we're probably going to have some failures. But here's the cool thing about failures. Not only do we learn from them, but when you fail, it seems like all your options are cut off and there's no way out. That is when your creativity kicks into high gear. Especially if you have a family that's depending on you. If you quit your job and it seems like there's no way you're going to pay the bills next month, guess what? you're going to sit down and you're going to get creative and you're going to go, how can I make this happen? And that list will start to form of different ways that you could make this happen. And again, get creative, explore, think outside the box. People are doing amazing things everywhere as soon as they break free of the 9 to 5. The last tool I'm going to put into your toolbox here is networking. Reaching out and finding support around you. If you have a family, it's really important as you start this process to sit down with them and to say, here's how I can see our life changing. To forge together a vision that you can all work towards and support. If you're doing this on your own, then start networking, reaching out to people through YouTube, through mutual friends, reaching out and exploring and seeing where can other people help you with ideas? Where can other people help you with opportunities? Where can other people help you with emotional support or inspiration? All those things are really, really important. And as social animals, it gives us so much strength to reach out and have that networking support. You do have people. You just have to reach out. The last thing I would like to put out here is, to me, the most important. And that's to remember the fulfillment factor. And the fulfillment factor is, this is all about what fills us up in life. We're never told that that's an important thing. We're just told the important thing is security, it's saving up money, it's having a regular job to go to. But if we're not fulfilled, first of all, our life doesn't feel like we're living it. Secondly, the people around us, they're not getting the best version of ourselves that we have to offer because we're not in our best place. The world is not getting the best version of us that we have to offer. So in finding fulfillment, finding personal fulfillment, we not only attend to our own joy and happiness, but we create in ourselves an environment where we are able to reach out to the people around us, to the world around us, and to give our best selves. That is why fulfillment is so important. It is much more important than security. If 9 to 5 is dragging you down, then I'd urge you today to take a look at it. Find a time when you can have a half hour to yourself and sit down and really think about this. Does it make sense to stay in a life that's not fulfilling you? Does it make sense to not be nurturing that best self inside of you that you then can give to your family, to your friends, to your loved ones, to the world? We all owe it to the world, to the people around us, to be as fulfilled as possible so that we can give our best selves. If 9 to 5 is doing that for you, perfect. And for some people, it is perfect. But for others, if it's crushing you down, there are other ways. I hope that this video has given you a few tips and ideas for breaking free. And of course, I would love to hear about your stories, your ideas for getting out of the trap, your experiences. If you have an inspiring story from your own life that you want to share, please, in the comments below. I would love to hear from you.